Okay, chapter 12, Am Malala, the bloody square. So we connect every natural disaster with a human disaster. Is corruption of truth. So sort of this is where we get to see the idea that superstition she sees as sort of a great crime, perhaps a great crime against humanity even, and sort of she sees any kind of superstition or unmodern thoughts as bad things. She went to put on her dancing clothes, threatened to slit her throat. So there's a famous dancer being described, and then obviously her clothing is part of the problem because she's a dancer. Even though from memory she was dancing for them the night before or something. Obviously you'll have to read it yourself to know for sure. But yeah, this is kind of perceived as sort of one of the final straws of sort of things are getting pretty dangerous around here. Oops, it's not working well for us, is it? That's a bit better maybe. Alright, so our men both wished to see her dance and also despised her because she was a dancer. So that's kind of gives you a good idea of sort of the contrast and the conflict within them. We Pashtun love shoes, but don't love the cobbler. We love our scarves and blankets, but do not respect the weaver. So that's a really, really nice little quotable thing that we've got there. That would go really well as sort of a synthesis of what she believes about her culture. 124, they are abusing our religion. How will you accept Islam if you put a gun to your head and say Islam is the true religion? They want every person in the world to be a Muslim. They don't show themselves to be good Muslims first. So that's another good kind of collective short statement that you could use to sort of summarize this corruption would be the theme that we'd be talking about. So sort of, you're always looking for kind of, a lot of this book especially circles around the same themes and the same ideas. So you're listening out especially for especially good description or especially succinct, and that these two things, we Pashtuns love shoes, and if they want every person in the world to be Muslim, why don't they show themselves to be good Muslims first? Those are really good examples of kind of succinct little quotes that summarize bigger ideas really well. So if I was you, I'd be adding a post-it in those particular ones and kind of really reminding myself that this quote really jumps off the page and is a really good, the kind of thing you could memorize for an exam without sort of having to write it out too many times. Right, when you're in the Taliban, you have 100% life security. That's interesting. For a while, he left for Islamabad to try to raise awareness there of what was happening to our valley. So kind of another activist behaviour, moving outside, trying to improve things. Our people are being killed, but this Ziauddin is so outspoken and he's still alive. He must be a secret agent. So again, a mixture of kind of activism and also corruption and also sort of superstition. Like some people can get away with sort of anything in this place. Right, we're on to 126. My mother could place a ladder in the backyard up to the outside wall so we could get down to the streets below if there was a sudden danger. So they're preparing for the worst. They're getting very worried. Instead of hide and seek and cops and robbers, children were now playing army versus Taliban. So that's not good at all. Sometimes their roadblocks were less than a kilometre apart on the same main roads. So there's sort of, the point of the roadblocks seems to be to collect money more than anything, and that's kind of corruption rearing its ugly head again. We've got onomatopoeia, which is just sound effects, which is a literary technique, but not an especially juicy one. We've got some inner monologue, which is quite uncommon actually in this story. There's not too much inner monologue or dialogue, or most often we call it monologue, but it's an interesting feature to appear just at the end here. I'm only human, and when I hear the guns, my heart used to beat very fast. So yeah, just sort of saying, she's not as big a hero as you might think. She's just a normal human being who gets scared of guns. It didn't mean I should stop going to school. The Taliban bulldozed both our Pashtun values and the values of Islam. So again, it's another really good quote that you could chuck in. It's being super important and also super succinct, super precise on the stuff that's always going to be something you'll talk about. I tried to distract myself by reading Stephen Hawking's A History of Time, so it's a nice intertextual reference. And that is chapter 12.